The ending of The Mandalorian had Grogu leave with Luke in an extremely emotional scene. The scene was emotional for many reasons, but after the scene was over, something crossed everyone's mind that could possibly be the darkest thing yet in Star Wars. Luke taking Grogu to his temple is cool and all, but there are some certain implications that could get very dark. Does Kylo Ren kill Grogu when he destroys Luke's temple? It is said that Kylo kills all of the Jedi in the temple except for the ones that leave with him. Is Grogu included in these Jedi? Let's talk about the timeline first. In the prequel era, on average, Jedi train for about 10 years before becoming a master. This is what we have to assume for all Jedi, even in this time period that we're referring to with Luke's temple, because it's all we have to go off of. Or at least it's all we have to go off of with a large sample size. The Force Awakens occurs about 25 years after the current time that we are in The Mandalorian, and Ben Solo becomes Kylo Ren 7 years before that. That means that the massacre at Luke's temple takes place 18 years after Grogu leaves with Luke in the finale. As I said before, on average Jedi train around 10 years before becoming a master. Now Grogu may be a little different because of how slowly he ages, but we also have to take into account that Grogu already has had training and he is extremely high in midichlorians, as we know because of what Dr. Pershing said in the recording in episode 4. So Grogu is already advanced in training, and he is also being trained by the most powerful Jedi ever. I think his training will take at most 10 years before he has mastered his abilities, or at least until he is no longer a Padawan. So the big question is, will Grogu be at the temple during its destruction? Well, it's impossible to know for sure, but even if Grogu's training takes 15 years, which is much longer than most Jedi, that would still leave 3 years before the massacre. So based on that timeline, I don't think Grogu will be there. I don't think Luke is looking to keep Jedi around the temple that have no reason to be there. I think around that time, Grogu will probably be trying to reunite with Mando, or maybe even with his own people. Or maybe Luke even has him going on his own missions at that time. The only way I could really see Grogu being at the temple during that time is if Luke has him stay there to teach other Jedi, which during the prequel era, that is what happened when Jedi became masters. They got Padawans. But even still, most masters and their Padawans spent a lot of their time away from the temple. But we also have to talk about the financial side of things surrounding Grogu with Disney and Lucasfilm. Whether you like it or not, Grogu is the face of Star Wars at the moment. Even people that don't like Star Wars still watch The Mandalorian because of Grogu, and then they end up falling in love with the show, and that creates more Star Wars fans. I would have a very hard time believing that they would take Grogu out of the show for more than a season. Honestly, I would be surprised if Grogu didn't show up next season at all. I think Grogu will be the future of Star Wars, and I think they made him the same species as Yoda so that he can live past the sequel trilogy and become the Force user of the future. I don't think Dave, John, Lucasfilm, or Disney want Grogu to go anywhere. I think he will show up at the end of next season, hopefully all grown up and wise. He is a key piece of The Mandalorian, and he has to come back to the show. I also think having the world's favorite child get murdered by a character that eventually gets redeemed is not a path Disney would take. That story would be much too dark of an ending for Grogu. So no, Kylo will not kill Grogu. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The timeline doesn't add up. Grogu is obviously being set up for a big storyline in the future, and they wouldn't kill him off before the sequel trilogy. Disney would not want a storyline being that dark associated with Grogu, who is the current face of Star Wars. Grogu will be trained by Luke for a while and probably return to Din after 3 to 7 years. After returning to Din, they will probably go on some adventures together, maybe even finding Grogu's true species. Grogu will stay with Din until he is needed by Luke, or until another Force user needs a teacher. What do you think the fate of Grogu will be? Does Kylo kill him in the massacre at Luke's temple? Would Disney really go that dark? I don't think so, but let me know what you think. If you did like this video, make sure you leave a like on the video. It really does help out a lot. And if you want to see more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be a part of the community and participate in viewer call-ins for live streams, make sure you join the Discord. The link will be in the description. But thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you on the next one.